After Han Li condensed his nascent soul, his first stage to shine among the high-level cultivators of the mortal realm was when he, under the leadership of Marquis Nanlong, explored the mysterious and unpredictable cave of the Cangkun Venerable. This expedition, seemingly a group of only 6, was actually fraught with undercurrents, with each person harboring their own ulterior motives and scheming probably more than 600 in total. Surprisingly, even Wang Chan, the young master of the ghost spirit sect, participated. However, this time, he didn't arrogantly invite Han Li to reminisce as usual. The atmosphere was unusually tense from the start. After dealing with the unscrupulous monk surnamed Mu and calmly collecting his belongings, Han Li arrived at the agreed meeting place with Marquis Nanlong. 3 days later, everyone gathered again, but unexpectedly, 2 tails appeared behind the cultivator surnamed Yu who had accompanied them. Marquis Nanlong and the old man surnamed Yun had no choice but to deal with this unexpected trouble. The 2 monks who had followed seemed to already know the fate of Mu's accomplice. Their gazes swept over him calmly. Upon seeing Han Li, a look of fear appeared on his face. Without even engaging in combat, he fled without hesitation, daring not to confront the group directly. Regarding the disappearance of the sorcerer surnamed Mu, Han Li only gave vague answers, and the Marquis of Nanlong and the others did not delve into it further. Only then did the group officially set off towards the ruins of the Cangkun Venerable. Upon arriving at the desolate mountain where the cave was located, the Marquis of Nanlong and the old man surnamed Yun worked together, activating a secret technique that split the entire stone mountain in 2, revealing a deep, ancient stone staircase leading downwards. The old man surnamed Yun led the way, inviting everyone inside. The group, each wary of each other, deliberately maintained a safe distance as they descended in silence. The Marquis of Nanlong and the old man surnamed Yun, at the head of the group, seemed oblivious to this, striding forward. As they entered a spacious, circular hall, a sense of oppression quietly permeated the air. Han Li subtly extended his divine sense, but upon touching the surrounding walls, it bounced back silently, unable to detect anything outside. The others' expressions also changed slightly, clearly noticing the effect of the divine sense restriction. Before they could investigate further, the entrance to the passage behind them slammed shut, completely sealing them off. This sudden turn of events caused Wang Tuangu, Madame Tai, and the others to immediately turn their questioning gazes to Marquis Nanlong, instantly creating a tense atmosphere. After Marquis Nanlong explained that this was the cave's normal protective mechanism and pointed out that they needed to break the supreme mystery divine restriction at the end of the hall to continue deeper, the group finally calmed down somewhat. Attention turned to the shimmering, seemingly gentle, crystalline barrier of light. Lady Tai, confident in her early acquisition of a rare treasure called the restriction-breaking cone, capable of countering all kinds of restrictions, proposed to try it first. If successful, she would have to choose one treasure as her reward. Marquis Nanlong hesitated briefly before agreeing. Han Li watched coldly, neither agreeing nor disagreeing. Wang Tuangu and the others didn't object either, though a calculating glint flickered in their eyes. However, although Lady Tai's restriction-breaking cone stirred ripples in the barrier of light, it ultimately failed, slowly pushed back by the resilient force of the restriction. While everyone was disappointed, Han Li, while carefully observing the changes in the restriction, had already formed a plan in his mind. He feigned stepping forward, claiming he was willing to attempt to break the barrier using array formations. He placed his palm close to the crystal wall, closed his eyes, and concentrated, seemingly sensing the energy flow of the restriction. In reality, taking advantage of this moment when everyone's attention was diverted, he secretly released his artifact spirit, Silver Moon. Using its exquisite earth is a type of magical escape technique, Silver Moon silently penetrated the restriction and entered the inner cave. Han Li's sensing process lasted a full half-hour before he leisurely began setting up the array flags and array plates. This delay was naturally to buy Silver Moon ample time to calmly search for truly valuable treasures in the inner cave. Once everything was ready, Han Li activated the array. With flashes of light, the incredibly sturdy Tai Miao divine restriction was finally broken. A gap was opened. The group, their spirits lifted, rushed in and arrived at one of the core areas of the cave, the Jade Pavilion. The pavilion was ancient and simple. A white scroll lay quietly on the offering table directly in front, quite eye-catching. The old man surnamed Yun moved to take it, but immediately felt several unfriendly gazes behind him. He could only smile awkwardly and unfold the scroll in front of everyone. It seemed to contain a map and some annotations. After reading it, Marquis Nanlong suggested that he keep it for now, to be distributed uniformly after finding other treasures. Beneath this seemingly fair suggestion lay a deep mutual suspicion and caution among these old monsters. This detail already revealed the fragility of this temporary alliance. The complexities of human nature were laid bare. Upon entering the Jade Pavilion, several radiant magical treasures and ancient artifacts, along with some rare refining materials, came into view. This immediately drew delight from Wang Chan, the cultivator surnamed Yu, and others, who rushed forward to examine them. Only Han Li remained calm, his gaze sweeping briefly over the treasures before settling on a seemingly ordinary futon in a corner. Just as he was about to step forward, the old man surnamed Yun, seemingly intentionally or unintentionally, preemptively grabbed the futon and examined it closely. At this moment, Yang Ruyan also inquired about a certain magical treasure, attracting everyone's attention. Han Li paused slightly, ultimately deciding not to persist. The Marquis of Nanlong opportunely suggested that the treasures on this floor be distributed first. Having finished their task, everyone agreed to explore the next level. After dividing up the spoils, each with their own agenda, the group ascended the side staircase and entered the second level of the cave. If the spoils of the first level allowed them to maintain a semblance of harmony, the contents of the second level became the fuse that ignited the flames of greed and betrayal. On a cold jade bed in the room, 3 jade boxes, tightly sealed with talismans, were prominently displayed. Their spiritual pressure was palpable, clearly indicating they contained extraordinary items. The old man surnamed Yun's eyes flashed with greed, and he reached out to grab one. Wang Chan, who was prepared, immediately intervened. During the struggle, part of the information contained within the jade box was revealed. It was about the most dangerous place in the south, the secrets of Fallen Demon Valley and possible safe routes. The allure of Fallen Demon Valley is enough to drive any nascent soul cultivator mad. Wang Chan finally dropped his pretense and launched a fierce attack. It turned out that long before entering the cave, he had secretly conspired with the cultivator surnamed Yu, Madame Tai, and even persuaded the old man surnamed Yun, a friend of the Marquis of Nanlong, to join forces and share the spoils when they found the true treasure. The old man surnamed Yun's betrayal was the most fatal. He actually took advantage of the Marquis of Nanlong's unpreparedness and launched a sudden sneak attack. In an instant, the alliance completely collapsed, the magical power within the hall surged, and a great battle erupted. The betrayal of Wang Chan and the others did not directly affect Han Li. However, the Ghost Spirit sect held a deep grudge against him. There was absolutely no possibility of cooperation. In a flash, Han Li made his decision to aid Marquis Nanlong. This created a situation where Han Li and Marquis Nanlong faced off against four nascent soul cultivators, Wang Chan, the elder surnamed Yun, the cultivator surnamed Yu, and Lady Tai, plus 2 golden core cultivators, Wang Chan and Yang Ruyan. In terms of numbers and overall strength, Wang Chengu's side held an absolute advantage. Wang Chengu clearly didn't take the newly promoted nascent soul cultivator Han Li seriously, only instructing the cultivator surnamed Yu to quickly eliminate this trouble, while he, along with the elder surnamed Yun and Lady Tai, joined forces to besiege Marquis Nanlong. The cultivator surnamed Yu grinned maliciously as he lunged at Han Li, thinking it would be a piece of cake. However, he greatly underestimated his opponent. Han Li's attack was the killing move. The azure ice flame was silently unleashed. Extreme cold instantly filled the air, and the cultivator surnamed Yu didn't even have time to scream before he and his protective magic treasure were frozen within a giant block of dark blue ice. Even his nascent soul couldn't escape. He was utterly annihilated. Seeing the dire situation, Wang Chan was horrified and tried to retreat. A cold glint flashed in Han Li's eyes. With a flick of his finger, an extremely refined yin demon tore through the void, silently passing by. Wang Chan felt a chill in his legs, followed by excruciating pain. Looking down, he saw that both his legs were severed at the knees. He screamed in agony. If Yang Ruyan hadn't desperately used her magic treasure to protect him, he would have perished on the spot. Han Li didn't pursue. His goal wasn't to completely kill Wang Chan, but rather to establish his authority. The purpose of revenge had been achieved. Having dealt with his opponents here, Han Li's figure flickered, joining the battle against Nanlong Marquis. Without hesitation, he unleashed the ancient treasure 1,000 Peaks, obtained from the sorcerer surnamed Mu. This treasure expanded in the wind, transforming into a gigantic phantom mountain dozens of feet high, crashing down upon the center of the battle. The violent earth attribute spiritual pressure and gravitational field instantly forced Wang Chengu and the others back, temporarily separating them from Nanlong Marquis. Taking advantage of this opening, Han Li used his divine sense to recall Silver Moon, who had already finished plundering the inner layers and quietly returned. Without lingering in battle, he gave Nanlong Marquis a slight nod, then transformed into a dazzling azure rainbow, shooting back towards the hall he had come from without looking back. The main purpose of this trip, his primary objective, the truly precious treasures that Silver Moon had taken ahead of time, was already in hand, along with some unexpected information about Fallen Demon Valley, though incomplete. Staying here and getting caught up in the chaos was pointless. Whether Marquis Nanlong could escape the siege of Wang Chenggu and his group was no longer his concern. At this moment, most of Wang Chenggu's attention was drawn to Marquis Nanlong, presenting a perfect opportunity to escape. Han Li activated his full speed, instantly rushing out of Jade Pavilion and returning to the circular hall along the same path. To his slight surprise, Marquis Nanlong also fled in a disheveled state, his spiritual light dimmed, clearly seriously injured, but he had ultimately managed to temporarily trap Wang Chenggu and his group using some kind of secret technique. They had secured a sliver of hope for themselves. The two exchanged a glance, saying nothing more. Han Li, relying on the patterns he had secretly memorized while studying the Tai Miao divine restriction and the information brought back by Yin Yu, quickly located the weak point in the restriction. Together with Nanlong Hu, they barely managed to reopen a crack and escape from the Cangkun Cave. When Wang Chenggu and the others, in a fit of rage, finally broke through the Thousand Peaks barrier and the Tai Miao restriction to give chase, they found only a desolate mountain. There was no trace of Han Li and Nanlong Hu. The two had long since vanished into the horizon using their exquisite escape techniques. Looking back on this battle, Han Li had not actually revealed all his trump cards. Whether it was the thunderous power of his natal flying sword, the azure bamboo bee cloud sword, or the numerous sharp weapons he had forged later, most of his magical treasures, even his most prized puppets and array techniques, remained hidden. He knew the core of this trip wasn't about fighting, but about acquiring tangible benefits. Through Yin Yu's advance infiltration, he had quietly seized the most valuable treasures from the cave, exceeding his initial objective. As for the complete information on the Fallen Demon Valley, he was fortunate to have it, but losing it wasn't unbearable. Other opportunities would arise later. In the treacherous world of cultivation, maintaining constant awareness, weighing pros and cons, and always having a backup plan while ensuring maximum gain was the key to longevity. The journey to Cangkun Cave was like a mirror, reflecting the naked truth of the cultivation world. The greed and betrayal he inflicts vividly highlight crucial traits in Han Li's character: composure, forbearance, meticulousness, and strategic thinking. He always manages to see the essence of complex situations, exploiting rules, and even the greed of others to create the most favorable conditions for himself. This unassuming and methodical approach is one of the core charms of the record of a mortal's journey to immortality. It doesn't depict a story of someone sweeping the world through pure luck or an invincible aura, but rather a realistic cultivation journey that emphasizes both wisdom and strength, caution and opportunity. Han Li's performance in this instance undoubtedly adds another solid and brilliant chapter to his long journey on the path of immortality.